Welcome to the T. Allen Haynes Radio Show. Conversations with elite business leaders from around the world. And now, here is your host, T. Allen Haynes.
Welcome back to the show. We've got a great guest for you today. We have John Limbocker, and he is the mastermind behind Internet Dominators, a division of a company he founded in 1985 called Limbovision, Inc. And Limbovision was created to serve the advertising photography needs of businesses and advertising agencies. And the thing that drew these businesses and advertising agencies to Limbovision was John's knack for being able to bring their dreams to life on film using advanced lighting techniques and special effects photography. And John sat in on hundreds of board meetings of major corporations and ad agencies, listening to their creative art directors dream up spectacular ad campaigns. And they would agree on a particular concept and then turn to John and ask, "Can this be done?" And John would simply smile and reply, "Your wish is my command." He would then go to work figuring out how it was going to happen and produce exactly what was asked of him. And in 1995, which brought a major change with the introduction of Photoshop, and the writing was on the wall. High-end advertising, photography, and special effects on film was rapidly coming to an end. And luckily for Limbovision, John saw the road ahead and recognized the opportunity that was rapidly approaching. The World Wide Web, for short, was on the horizon. And Limbovision swiftly altered course to stay ahead of the times and started offering web design, e-commerce construction, and online marketing as part of its services. And from the start, they recognized the need to supply quality traffic to their clients. And without quality traffic, they surely would fail. And most who refused their advice back then did fail. And those who followed their recommendations prospered. So Limbovision started up a new division called Internet Dominators to take full advantage of the success of the Internet. And in the mid-90s, John Limbocker cracked many of the search engine codes of the time and was able to get top listings for his clients. And John made many guest speaking appearances as well as a few paid seminars, demystifying how the search engines really worked and how to beat them. And in the following years, John and his team have accounted for over $100 million in online sales for their clients. I think that's a good place to stop. Welcome to the show, John.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That's quite an impressive read there. So
that was a mouthful, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. That's awesome. Well, let's get right into it. We went over it a little bit, but who are the types of clients that you're helping, and what are you doing for them?
Well, we're helping any business that is really trying to move online or is online and trying to figure out how to use this thing called the World Wide Web to convert prospects into customers. So pretty broad range of clients that we have. We've got everything from huge manufacturers down to the little guy that's just trying to make a buck using affiliate marketing.
Awesome. What led you to this field? I know you had to diversify and change your path, but tell us a little bit more how you got started in this business.
Well, in the internet marketing business, really I was kind of forced into that, believe it or not, from where I was at in the photography world. You know, I had a great career. Everything was looking promising, and I was on top of the world. And then this little thing called Photoshop arrived, and I was like, uh-oh. I can see trouble ahead.
Yeah.
So that really kind of thrust me into the next thing, which was, you know, I had a decision to make. I could either fold up shop and, you know, go try and find something else to do, or I could take all those customers and clients that I was serving and just figure out what they needed next. So when that arose, the choice was pretty obvious. You know? So I don't want to abandon all these customers. Why don't I just figure out what's next? And that was the Internet. It was pretty clear. And, you know, back then, nobody even knew what the Internet was. They'd kind of heard the buzz, but they really didn't get it yet. They knew it was coming, and they knew they needed it. And it was interesting how I entered that whole market, because in the ad world, they had budgets for everything. and they had no budget for creating websites. So I wound up creating a lot of websites for free just to acquire the hosting business. The hosting business, that was just kind of in their discretionary budgets. So in the first couple of years, I wound up building a couple hundred websites, acquired the hosting business for all that, and that was really the first time I had automated recurring revenue coming into my business. And at that point, I told my wife, I'm like, we don't have to work anymore. That's when things got really interesting.
I like that.
That was kind of my entry point into where I'm at now.
Yeah, that's a great story. Thanks for sharing that with us. What along the way, was there someone or a person that inspired you?
Oh, well, right from the very beginning, it was always my father. He worked every day of his life, and he always told us kids, he said, don't do what I do. Go out and be in business. And I remember we had a little boat, a little 16-foot wooden boat, and we were cruising through the harbor one day on our way to go fishing. And I'm looking at all these big yachts, and I asked my dad, I said, how come we don't have one of those? He said, we don't have one of those because I work. And I'm like, well, isn't that the way you get those? And he said, no. He says, you'll never get one of those working. He says, you got to do business for that. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm never going to work.
Wow. That's pretty impactful.
And you know what? He was absolutely right, because I've never wanted for anything. I've always been able to get whatever I wanted because I don't work. That's been the whole key.
That's a pretty good inspiration to go out there and get it, for sure.
Yeah.
So your passion, what drives you to help business owners and help those folks do, or help them do what you do, or get them?
I've always really had this thing for helping people in anything that I do. Like, one of my hobbies is fishing. I prefer to watch people catch fish and get them in a position where they can actually catch the fish themselves than me catching it myself. I would rather pass that enjoyment on, and I think that transpires into everything that I do, including business. I would rather help business owners, succeed and get to where they want, just to see them experience that. I get more kick out of that than the experience of myself, because I can do it easy. But everyone else, if I can help them do it, that's where I get my enjoyment.
That's an awesome analogy. We're similar in that way. I can't catch a freshwater fish to save my life, but you take me deep sea fishing, I can hook and yellowfin tuna all day long.
That's what I love. I love
that's awesome.
And hand them off.
There you go. So what are you finding to be the misconception? It's been a while since I heard that term, the World Wide Web, but what are you finding to be the misconception of business owners about transitioning from offline to online where it can benefit them?
Well, what they think is if they just get a website and they get traffic to it, that they're going to become rich. It's like this magical thing that nobody really understands. They've got this concept of, the internet makes people rich, and it's really not true. The thing that makes people rich is predictable sales. And what works in the real world works online, but it's interesting to me that when they take their business that's working in the real world and they try and move it online, they don't move any of the techniques that actually made it work in the real world, and it fails, and they don't know why. That just boggles my mind.
Yes, absolutely. So the biggest pitfall that they might not be aware of when they're bringing it online, what is the biggest pitfall of that?
Well, the biggest pitfall, there's really three areas of problem. And whenever I analyze a business, an online business, I usually find if it's not working, if they're struggling, it's going to be in one of these three areas that the problem lies. It's either in they've not identified the right market, they haven't created a message that matches that market, or they don't have traffic. And sometimes they'll have all three of those problems. But any one of those areas will make it fail. It's like unless all three of those are in sync and working synonymously, the business will not thrive online. In fact, it probably won't make a single sale. It really is that simple.
It is simple, isn't it? Can you give us an example of someone you've actually helped?
Sure.
And how you help them?
Yeah, like a realtor. I'll give you an example of a realtor. This was really cool. I looked at their website, and they were speaking a language that walked down the middle of the road. And basically by doing that, they were pushing their customers off the cliff on both sides. Because what happened in real estate, basically you've got two main types of customers. You've got a customer that wants to buy a house and a customer that wants to sell a house. They both speak a different language. They both have a different desired outcome. And when you talk about what turns one on, you will turn the other off. So if you don't segment your audiences and speak their language, you're doomed to fail. So in the case of the real estate broker, when he starts talking about max value, getting the most out of your house, any buyers that are on his site says, that's not the realtor for me, and they leave. When you start talking about good deal, then your sellers look at that and say, that's not the realtor for me, and they leave. So at the end of the day, you look over your shoulder and there's no one following you. So that's a really good example of how you can turn that around. And what we did, we basically took their homepage and we said, okay, we need to segment the audience. So all they can do on the homepage is either click buy my house or sell my house. Mm. And when they make that decision, they go into a part of the website that speaks that language. And that made all the difference in the world for them.
Awesome. What would you
or a case of matching the message to the market?
Absolutely. What would be the most important thing that you would tell the listener should they think about, building a website or coming online, transferring their offline business to online?
Well, I would say we have a system, we have a protocol for marketing, an online marketing protocol, let's say. And we call it ACT, A-C-T. And the A stands for analysis. The C stands for creation. And the T stands for traffic. And you need to do things in that order. So if you're looking to come online, analysis really is your first step. And that starts with market segmentation, figuring out who your most profitable, ideal market is. And then I'm sure you've heard of the client avatar. The client avatar really is a representation of your ideal client. And that avatar will emerge out of that market. One of the things I see people failing at is they think they can create an avatar. An avatar isn't created. It's just mimicked. So once you figure that out, then you know who they are, what they want, what's important to them. And then you can move into the C in ACT, which is the creation. That's where you create the message to the market. And understanding who you're speaking to, really, really important, especially in a website scenario, because you don't have the ability to see the prospect and see how they react and change your course if you're not reacting or if they're not reacting to you properly. So it's like those two pieces, if you don't get those two right, then spending money to drive traffic is absolutely worthless. So that's how they all kind of fit together. And unless you do them in that order, you're out of sequence and you're probably going to have a really rough go of it. I see so many people, they jump on, they start a business, and they say, I need to create a website. They haven't done the analysis yet. So tell me this, if you don't know who you're speaking to, how are you going to write to talk to them? That's what I ask them. And they say, well, I don't know. And I'm like, well, that's kind of how your sales are going to go. I don't know.
Right.
So that happens all the time.
Well, very good. Well, we are super excited that you're being featured at Notre Dame in July and August, 1st and 2nd. So congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you. I'm really happy for the invite.
Yeah, we're real excited that you're going to be a part of us. So what's the best way for someone to get more information about what you do and to find out about you?
They could go to my website at internetdominators.com, and if you've got an online business, I've got a free consultation on there where I'll do an analysis for you and check it out and make recommendations. So that would be the best way to connect with me, internetdominators.com.
Awesome. And we'll have that in the notes as well. Well, again, congratulations on speaking at Notre Dame. We look forward to seeing you there in a couple weeks. And thanks again for the interview.
All right. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, there you have it for this edition of the show. We'll see you the next time.
Thanks for listening to the T. Allen Haynes Radio Show with T. Allen Haynes. Conversations with elite business leaders from around the world. We will see you next time on the T. Allen Haynes Radio Show.